to this HBNI webinar. For those of you who are joining our webinar for the first time, we have been flashing a small PowerPoint presentation which will be on your screen, and I hope you will be able to get some information about HBNI. And we will continue with this program of webinars. We have a number of eminent people lined up, and maybe from August we will get back to the webinar sequence. And today we have amidst us a very eminent professor from IIT Madras Chemistry Department and a long-term friend of mine, Professor Ramesh Gardas. And he has delivered a number of lectures on this subject in various universities, and they have been welcomed. So I took the liberty of inviting him to talk to our HBNI students on the important subject of research and writing skills. See, we have seen over a period of time, I have been the Vice Chancellor for maybe now 2 years, little more than 2 years. I would have seen 500 theses going through my hands. And I can tell you that a small percentage, even though it's not very large, some percentage of theses do receive comments from the reviewers that the work is excellent and world class, very new results. But the student could have improved his writing. He could have some articulation here and there, English errors, or sometimes giving some references which are not appropriate, etc. Also, question of which journals you publish in. So there have been like off and on such remarks. Of course, many guides tell me very informally that they have to pitch in a lot and help the student. Of course, it is their duty to mentor the student. But we want to move towards a regime when the students are fully familiar with what is expected from them in a paper or a communication or even giving a lecture or whatever. And the students graduate to such an extent that the guides and other faculty have to do very little to improve. We want to ensure that 100% of our thesis get very positive reviews from everyone, including the quality of writing. So that is a very important element today. And not only that, after the students finish their PhD, if they have to make a good career, if they have to appear in some interviews, or if they have to explain what work they have done to anybody else, I think the communication skills become very important for the future of the students. So from these angles, it is very welcome that today we have a webinar on this. And we are very happy and thankful to Professor Ramesh Gardas, IIT Madras, to have joined us to deliver this webinar. And before he begins, I would like to request Professor P.D. Nayak, our Dean, to give a brief introduction about Professor Gardas, because a number of our students may not have interacted with him and known about him. Professor Nayak, please.
Professor Vasudeva Rao. Yes, first of all, I would like to thank Professor Gardas for accepting our invitations to give this very important talk for our student benefits. I will just introduce him briefly, because if I go through all his achievements and other things, it may take more than an hour or so. I don't want to come in between you and Professor Gardas. But in briefly, I will explain about him. He was born in and brought up in Surat, and he completed BSc, MSc, and PhD in chemistry from Veer Narmad South Gujarat University, and then he has done a postdoc with Coimbra and University of Aveiro, Portugal, Queen's University, Belfast, UK. And he has mainly worked at that time on physiochemical properties and applications of ionic liquids. As you know, it is becoming one of the very good solvent. It's known as a green solvent and so on. Professor Gardas joined the Indian Institute of Technology, Madras, India in August 2010 as an assistant professor. Then he was promoted to the associate professor in 2015, and now he is, in March 2020, he is now full professor. Professor Gardas has more than 20 years of research and 10 years of teaching experience. So far, he has completed 8 projects as principal investigator or co-PI with a project worth of more than 6.5 crores, and he guided 10 PhD students and 15 MSc projects, co-authored 4 patents, 4 books chapter, and 165 research publications. And because of its importance and novelty, it has got 5,850 citations, and at this young age also he is having a H index of 37. And average citation per paper is about 35. He told yesterday this is his 125th invited lectures. Professor Garda's research group focus on chemical thermodynamics and phase equilibria of industrially important solvents and their mixers. His research group is unique in the country, focuses on both basic sciences as well as technology part of it. This is very important for today to get some projects and other things. In record for his outstanding performance as a researcher, he has bestowed with several awards, especially award by his own institute, Mid-Career R&D Award 2020 by IIT Madras. Recently has been recognized as Associate Editor, Herion, that is Elsevier Publications, Fellow of Royal Society of Chemistry, UK, Problems Top Peer Review Awards for top 1% reviewers in chemistry, one among the world's top 25 emerging investigators by the Journal of Chemical and Engineering Data and American Chemical Society Journal. With this brief introductions, I once again thank Professor Gardas for accepting our invitations, and I'm passing on this session to Professor Gardas to give his invited talk. Professor Gardas, please.
Thank you. I'll share my screen. So, do I start, sir?
Yes.
Yeah. So, thank you very much for the nice introduction. It is really overwhelming. Such a great personality tells me a friend. So, it's nice to hear, sir. And I was, while listening before, just before joining this and after joining, I was seeing how nicely the appreciation for the HBNI students and faculty and their achievements are going on. What else we need? We need encouragement from the topmost people like Vice Chancellor and Director. Once they appreciate our enthusiasm, really boost, especially for the young students and young faculties. So good. So with the good note, I would like to begin this talk with the great thanks to all the organizers of the HBNI. Though I don't know many people, it's not easy often to do this kind of things, but I sincerely thank all of them. So for the audience, I have one request, though organizers are already requested, please mute your mic and mute your video and enjoy. And this talk will be no less than 1 hour. It may overshoot little bit, but please bear with me and feel free to do whatever you like. If you are hungry, you can eat whatever you want, you can go ahead. And you can ask me question at the end. I think organizers could have been, moderator would be there, somebody to help me. You can type the questions. If you are not getting any chance to ask today, you can ask me by email, or you can ask me. I'm listening some echo, so please, all of you, please kindly mute your mics. So it would be nice. So you can WhatsApp me on this message. So let's, without further delay, let's begin. So this talk is intended to a very, very young researchers, be it project fellows or a PhD students, or those who would like to do PhD in near future, or those who just join as a faculty and are going to guide young researchers. So this is intended for them, certainly not for the senior faculties. The senior faculty may look at, and this may help them to guide the systematically the younger ones. So let's go through this journey, and this is nothing to do with the systematic way or anything. This is just like a sharing my experience of 20 years researchers as a 5-year PhD student, 5-year postdoc student, and a 10-year as a faculty. So more than what I copied from different sources in the slides, it's more about sharing my experience. So let's begin the talk. I'm from chemistry department at IIT Madras, but this talk is nothing to do with the somebody is asking something. Please don't annotate anything in this talk, okay? So I'm from chemistry department at IIT Madras, but nothing to do with the chemistry. Today's talk is general, and whether you pursue chemistry, chemical engineering, or any science, technology, arts, humanities, or even social science, for everybody something is there. So I'm trying to put everything aside because it would be disturbing you people. Yeah. So let's begin the talk with the blessings of goddess of knowledge and goddess of wealth or prosperity. We, as a scientist and as a technologist, we need novel ideas, and we need to convert those ideas into a products or the process or the model or the design, and to generate wealth for the ecosystem and for the entire society. So the research process, majorly we can say it's 5 stages. I'm only trying to remove this. Will it go or not?
You are not audible now. You are not audible now. You are not audible. Just wait. What is the problem? Did you mute your mic by mistake?
Okay.
Just hold. Yes, now we can hear.
Yeah. So the entire research process we can divide into 5 stages. It starts with the idea, and idea convert into funding project, and the project execution, and then results in writing and publishing those results. Before publishing, it is go through a peer review process, and then it publish and distribute through the publisher and through organization or the self, and then this will become a literature. Everybody will read it and generate more idea, or the carry forward this work, and then again write the new funds, new projects, and new. So this is a cycle, and in this cycle, each of these 5 stages are very, very crucial. But today I'm going to talk about the stage 1 and stage 2 little bit, and very little bit about the other stages. So let's go through the process. The entire research process starts with an idea. Ideas should be novel, idea should be extraordinary, and idea should be achievable, and idea should be doable, and ideas should work out into what you call the doable project or the process or the design or the product at the larger scale later on. Please remember, having extraordinary idea is not enough. When you have extraordinary ideas, you need to provide extraordinary proofs. You need to provide extraordinary supporting documents. You need to provide extraordinary convincing arguments. So all this is about having extraordinary ideas and how to convert them into the reality and how to justify them. So if it is writing a proposal, having idea is not enough. And after having a creative idea, what is the vision? What are the benefits, the possible benefits? how you deliver, what is the success criteria, what is the timeline, what is the plan, what is the approach, and how well you write, how well you convince the reviewers is the matter. Of course, money is a big challenge. How much budget you ask, is it appropriate, and are you convincing or not? So in my talk, I'm not going to talk much about writing proposal, but I will definitely talk more about writing a research paper. We all know when the paper publish, it will be on a journal name, and then you have a volume number and page numbers and so on. Then you have a title, authors, abstract, keywords, introduction. This is the usual format. But when you write, this is not the format. When you write, it is a completely different order. And in that order, the first and foremost thing is collating references. Even though you have your results are ready, even though you have performed your experiments, of course, to write that funding proposal and to while performing that results or experiments, you must have read the references or you must have gone through the literature. So for writing a proposal or writing a paper or generating an idea, everything starts from one point, and that is literature. And that's where its a reference is there. So I will go through this later on. Okay. So only so far what I told, whether you want to write a good proposal, whether you want to generate good ideas, whether you want to write a good paper, all starts from the same point, and that is literature search. So today's talk is about literature search, how to start, what are the sources available, what are the common errors we do, and how to find the relevant literature from the ocean of the literature. And after finding also, how to analyze them. Is there any way to find out the relevant literature just like that? Or even without searching, can we get that literature? How to write after getting the literature and organizing, how to write a papers, and how to do some collaboration or expanding network through social media or through scientific network, why it is essential to write a good proposal or to write a good papers. So this is all about in next 1 hour, but I already took 10 minutes. So maybe next 15 minutes, let's go through. I put two images. You will find out what is that in the later on slides. So let's start with the Scopus. Okay, the Scopus is one of the important database among the 4 or 5 databases. I will tell you all 5 names later on. There are more than 5,000 publishers, more than 25,000 active series titles, more than 2 lakh books, more than 77 million items, and 16 million authors, more than 70,000 institutes, and more than 1.7 billion references from more than 105 countries. It's the ocean. How much you want references to read? Let's say you want to write a funding proposal to a funding agency, or you want to write a very good article, or you want to do a PhD on a particular topic. How many papers you can read or you can download, or how many is possible in a 5 years of your PhD period? Of course, it is a limited number. So how to get that limited number of 40, 50 for writing a proposal, or 60, 70 to writing a paper, or 200, 300 for a PhD thesis? How to get that 200, 300 from this 1.7 billion is the key. This is another excellent source of scientific literature. Is a Web of Science, and it's from the Clarivate Analytics. This is also tells more or less the same number, 1.7 billion cited reference by 160 million articles. The difference is because all articles may not have access in this one, but they have cited more than 1.7 billion references. And one more is there, SciFinder and so on, but I'm not going into those details. But the key point is here, how to get what we want. What this uncle is telling here to auntie, no matter how carefully I surf the internet, I always get too much information. We often think that not getting information is difficult, but to be honest, once you put it in Google or Wikipedia or a SciFinder or anything, you get too much information. And that is the problem. Not getting a problem is less, but getting too much information is a problem. You get so much information, actually you need a little bit. How to get that little bit, and how to not waste your time in deviating from reading others, or frustrating, or keep on getting the same thing, not the updated thing. That is the key, and definitely it need a strategy. So as I told you, the beginning point for generating an idea, beginning point to writing a proposal, beginning point to writing a research article, or beginning point to do a PhD is a literature search. So let me ask three questions. What to search, where to search, and how to search. Of course, I'm going to answer all three. Before answering these three, let me ask the fourth question. Why to search? Of course, the answer for why to search is easy. You need to search the literature to avoid the duplicate information. You should not do the same thing which already somebody has done. You need to have thorough background idea, what has been already done. You need to know what are the best methods, what you are proposed to do, and where is a gap. What already done, what you want to do, or what is the future, how you can fill this gap. To know that gap, you should know the literature. And how familiar you are with the literature will give you a confidence to talk on that field, to discuss on that field, to take the question on this field while answering the reviewer's comment. The depth of the knowledge of the particular topic is essential. For that, you need to have a thorough background in that literature. For that, you need to search. So that's about why. Now let's go to the next question, what to search. This is little bit crucial and the key. I put various kinds of antique keys. I hope you like these slides. And I wrote the right hand side keyword, keyword, keyword. I purposefully wrote so many times that if you miss the first line, you may see second, or you may see third. All are same. My friends, keywords are very, 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 very crucial. The choice of keywords, the combination of keywords, the spelling on the keywords, and what kind of keywords you are using. And these are the key for success of good literature search. And these are the keys to get the relevant literature. These are the keys to find the updated literature. And these are the keys to save your time. So what you should do, if you are going to join a PhD next month or next year, or you are already joined PhD this year or a postdoc, can you list 25 most relevant keywords of your topic? Without this hesitating, within 5 to 10 minutes, if you can write 25 best keywords or most suitable keywords for your research, I think you got a license to do PhD. I think you got a license to do PhD, and I'm sure you will do good literature search. The most important point in the literature search is to have a large pool of keywords. So this will help you to dig out the relevant published article. This will also help you. Now let's go to think in different aspect. Let's say you already published a paper. Okay, how to publish, that is later on. You already published a paper, and some new researcher, some new student is searching something similar to the paper what you have published. So whether you would like that he should get your paper in the top while searching in SciFinder or Google or even Scopus or Web of Science. Of course, I want that. Once I work so much hard to get up funds to do an experiment in the laboratory and to write a paper and to answer the reviewer's comment, when I do this much, of course I want that my paper should be getting noticed by the peers. So what way it will get noticed? The most important way that your paper get noticed is through keywords. And these keywords comes from three things. Of course, I will tell you much detail later on. One is keywords, that every journal asks 4 to 5 keywords. Other one is title, and the third one is abstract. These are the three things most important, freely available for any publisher, for all the papers, these three things are available. Anyway, the keywords define field, subfield, topic, research issue, or the solution, or the most crucial part of the article. And most of the search engine database or journal website, publisher website decides whether your paper should come on top or second or third or 100. Depends on how many keywords are matching or how relevant your keywords are. So, as I told you, keywords can be based on geography, climate, topic, region, experimental methods, analysis, crucial thing, potential application, phenomenal issues, the gap filling, or the growth. So these are the typical keywords. Of course, I will tell you later on how to get 200 keywords of your field, how to get 100 keywords of your fields, and which are on the top. I will tell you that later on. So keywords for this, while searching keywords, you have to keep 2-3 things in mind. One, do they different region people, do they tell different names? Same thing have 2 different names or 2 different variation in spelling. US spelling, UK spelling for color, with you or without you, or people use abbreviation H2O and water, or they use different names with space, without space. And these are the things you should keep in mind while searching, and also spelling mistakes you should keep in mind. While you do in hurry, you type some spelling wrong and you continuously typing the same, and you're thinking that nobody has done research in that, because the wrong keyword will give different results or no results. So as I told you, please be aware of color with you or without you, or synonyms, or liquid or fluid, or the acronyms or abbreviations, formulas like CO2, carbon dioxide, lithium, Li, or plural. Plural is often, it is confusing. Should I type man or men? Should I type child or children? Should I type liquid or liquids? Always we have a confusion. However, most of the search engines now, whether you search singular or plural, they are taking both. Not all, but many. However, there are shortcuts to get the both. I can search child, children, childish at a time with a single word by typing child and ending with the dollar. Why dollar? I will tell you a little bit later. Okay. This is about what to search. Now the question arises, where to search? Probably this is the easiest question. Those who are in the research field, where to search. Of course, you can search in individual journals or collection of the journals under publishing. Either you can search in individual journal website, or you can go through the publisher websites. These are the few chemistry and the science and the engineering publishers: ACS, RSC, Elsewhere, Springer, Wiley, Taylor & Francis, and so on, Sage, PLOS. So many are there. But you may ask me, sir, do I need to go through all of them? Yes, often it's frustrating to go through multiple sources and it's time consuming. Of course, there is a shortcut. To avoid this, you can search in search engines. These search engines, most famous search engines are SciFinder, Web of Knowledge, Scopus. These are for science and technology journals. I'm not aware of arts or humanities or law, or I think most of them are covered here also, but they are not specific to arts. These are the largest database, by the way. I'm sure it covers medicine, humanities, arts also, but there might be few more. But these 3 are most famous and most useful for chemists, scientists and technologists. Unfortunately, all of them are subscribed. So your institute has to pay, or the government has to pay large amount of subscription fees. There are few which are available free of charge, and it's open in the literature. Some of the most important free available literature search engines are Google Scholar, Microsoft Academia, Mendeley, ORCID, Publons, ResearchGates. So these are the 5 or 6 I like very much, or these are the most famous one. There might be many, and I myself have kept many at the later stage. And so I repeat, Microsoft Academic is the newest one and the best one. One should really go through this website, those who want to do PhD or they want to write a good writing article on this one. This is a really good website. And don't worry about writing now. I already shared the slides with the organizers. You can request them. They will share the slides with you. So, is it enough? I will not search in journal. I will not search in publisher, but I will search in a search engine directly. But is it enough? Of course not enough. Many researchers won't publish their work in journals. Their thesis is unpublished. The student got a job and left it, or student got a postdoc and left his work or her work unpublished, and this remains unpublished. So many times you have to go through the institute's thesis dissertation. Most of them are available online. Okay? Many institutes keep their thesis online with the copyright notice. You have to cite the thesis. And books, many people publish in book chapter or books. They don't publish in journal. Our conference proceeding for engineering people, some of the conference proceedings are equally or more prestigious than the journals. Science blog, some people just put it without any peer review. They just express their view and their results, and they submit in repository or magazines or science blogs, and they are extraordinary results, and they don't believe in publishing. But as we want to know thorough search, we want to know the truth, it is our duty to search everywhere. It's not only the primary source, we should search in secondary source and third, tertiary. Even newspapers, science columns. Just science editors writes in the newspaper. Sometimes that is also. Even you can cite the oral discussion, telephonic discussion, or listening to somebody over the talk, or even email exchange you can cite. The references can be of various things. And it is ethical practice that you cite the relevant literature, be it a communication in a private communication, email communication, or a conference proceeding, or a news article, or so on. Now we'll come to the main part, how to search. It's a bit lengthy. Let's go through how to search. As I told you, 1.7 billion references are there, and we want only 30, 40, or 50, 60, or 200, 300. Definitely you need a strategy to reach there. And definitely you don't want to miss out the important papers. So what is the strategy? You formulate a question, what you want, why you want, how you, that's formulate a question of what and why. Then divide that question into concepts or keywords. Then choose the database, search engine, and choose the mix and match of keywords. The strategy of searching I will tell you later. And search it, evaluate the results. Evaluating also I will tell you later. So use mix and match of various kind of words, various search methods you use, various search database you use, conduct search, evaluate results. All this is fine. Many people do. What they don't do, the last two stages, save. I sincerely advise all young researchers noting down and putting in a writing, and the saving the file is the most crucial part of the research. It doesn't matter how good search you do and you forget to search, note down. After 1 week or 1 month, you beat your head. That day I got the result, why I'm not getting? That day I get the result, why I'm not getting now? So it's a good practice to write down, to note down all your search strategies, all your results, all your reading materials or whatever you done. So it's always a good practice to note down, to make a note, whether it is experimental results or a search strategy or a discussion with a friend or anything with related. And you have to always ready to refine. There is no end in literature search. There is no end in getting better and better. It depends on the time, how much you have, depends on where you are submitting, depending on the deadline. Until that, you keep refining. And that's the way to getting better and better and better. So define your keywords, start your search with the academic databases, Scopus, SciFinder, Web of Science. How to do, I will tell you in couple of more slides. But one more important thing I am telling, the previous slide I told, important thing is keeping record. Now I am telling one more important thing in the blue letters is there. Forward citation, backward citation, or forward searching and backward searching. This is the most important thing. I will tell you what is that. Let's say whatever keywords you had, whatever search strategy you had, whatever engine you use, whatever database you use, you found one or two most relevant literature, very most relevant. And that is the best literature for you to write that paper or to write that proposal. One paper you got, that's enough to start, to begin the show. One excellent, most relevant article is enough for you to start further literature. You might be thinking getting that one is not that difficult. Of course, it's not difficult. So after getting that one, you have to, let's say that the most relevant paper for you is published in 2015, 5 years ago. Now backward searching means that paper could have cited some 50 references or 40 references. Go through that 40 references is called backward searching or backward citation. The most relevant paper what you like is published 5 years ago in 2015. After 2015, in the subsequent years in 16, 17, 18, 19 and this year 2020, in 5 years, many people could have cited this paper. That's called forward searching. Find out who cited this paper which you like most. This is called forward searching. Believe me, both backward searching of 50, 60 references cited in that paper and forward searching, people cited those paper, this paper what you like after this paper published, let's say some 20, 30 citation. If you club this 20, 30 future article and 40, 50 previous article, I am sure more than 50% of this will be most relevant for you and your job is done. And how to do that, we will see that. And one more important thing, like I told you earlier, keep recording this, and keep up with the, one more point is there, getting alerts. How to get alerts, I will tell you now. Now I am going to little bit depth, please bear with me. And nothing to worry, okay? There are so many rules. I will tell you at the end a simple rule, anybody can do it. I put some words in uppercase. I'll read out. And, or, not, near, same. These are not the keywords. These are the search operator. Okay. So when you type and in a keyword, and will not be considered as a keyword. It will be considered as an operator. It's a commanding. It's telling you to do this job. So search engine, it doesn't matter whether you write in uppercase or lowercase. I just put in capital letter so we can distinguish. And even while searching, people do use capital letter. Okay, in many search engine ask you to put it in capital letter, but it is not compulsory. You can write it in the lowercase also. So if and is not a search keyword, it's a search operator. What will happen if I search Department of Science and Technology? How many words are there? Department of Science and Technology. 5 words are there. But for any search engine, these are not 5 words. It has only 3 words. Which are the 3? Department, Science, Technology. What I missed? Of and and. And is a operator. And of is a stop word that I will tell you later. So, when you type Department of Science and Technology, you may be thinking that you are searching 5 keywords. Actually, you are searching only 3 keywords with one operator. And that operator is between science and technology. So, it will try to see the results between science and technology together. It will miss technology paper where science is not there. It will miss science papers where technology is not there, because you gave a command that science and technology is your command. We'll also go through Boolean operators, proximity operators, operator precedence, parentheses, and stop words, and so on. The Boolean operators are and, or, not. The images are very clear. I'm sure I don't need to tell you in the details. When you say science and technology, it will give you the results only having both the words. If I put science or technology, it will give you all the results having either science or technology or both. If I tell science and not technology, it will take all science results and remove the technology results. So these are called truncation or wildcard. Okay. What are these truncation or wildcard? One is dollar, question mark, asterisk, parenthesis. You see there, if you want to search a woman with singular and woman with plural, one character of between M and N can be either A or E. When only one character is different, you don't know what you want, or you want both, you can substitute with question mark. But this should be in the middle. If you want different words ending child, children, childish, childlike, childhood, so you can put a child and dollar. And dollar is not compulsory. It's always comes at the end only. But one more and most important and most useful is a star or asterisk. Some people say star, some people say asterisk, or whatever you want to say. You use this symbol. These stars usually will be on the in the keyboard above 8, letter 8 in your laptops. So asterisk can be used for one character, can be used for 0 character, can be used for more than one character, can be used in the middle, and can be used in the end. What a fantastic character it is. And that's why people don't use question mark and dollar, because they need not to remember so many things. They just remember the asterisk or the star. You see, if I search HOF asterisk MAN asterisk, this will give you Hoffman without anything here, Hoffman with double N, Hoffman with double F, double N, so many things. Now you may ask, sir, can I use 2 truncations at a time, 2 wildcards at a time? Of course you can use it. You see here organization with question mark and asterisk. If you search this organization or organic question mark ATION with the asterisk, at a single search and it's a single word, you are searching more than 6 or 7 or 8 varieties. Organization with S, organization with Z, organizations with plural with S, plural with Z, plural with organizational, and so on. How powerful the wildcard is. Now, I told you previously Boolean operators, and now I'm telling you wildcards. You may have questions, sir, can I combine these two in my search engine? Of course. If this question comes to your mind, that means you are becoming expert in search engine. So you can use Boolean operators, truncations at a time. One more is there, proximity operators. Near, hyphen, number. And this number can be anything from 0 to 255 or 0 to 99, depending on the search engine. Or the same. If you want to say university name has been changed, or say University X, same University Y. Or fluid, same liquid. There is a small difference between or and same that you will see when you have more than one operators using at a time. Otherwise, same and or will give same purpose or the exact purpose if one or other is absent. But when both are there, completely different. Near means what? If I write Canon near /10 virus, so it will search Canon and virus words, but both should be within 10 words. If it is in the 11th word, it will not give the result. That's the proximity operator. So how many things I told you? Boolean operators, truncation or wildcards, and proximity operators. And now the question arises, if you use all of them or more than one of them at a time, who will go first? Will they fight? Is there any rule? Of course, there is a rule, the precedence. Who will go first? If your search term contains more than one Boolean operator, more than one truncation card, more than one proximity operator, or altogether more than one operator, the precedence is near will go first, where X is any number. The number depends on the search engine. It can be anything from 0 to 255. If you write 0, what it means 0? When you write 0 means you want both of them next to each other. Nobody should in between. But for that, you don't need to write 0. There are other ways. You can put parentheses, or you can put inverted comma, or what do you call this quote, unquote, single quote or double quote. Anyway, so near will go first, same will go second, not will go third, and will go fourth, and or will be at the end. I said or and same will give more or less same purpose, but when they are in absence of each other. But when both are there, you definitely have to careful that same will go first. If you are searching copper or lead and algae, what you want actually, you wanted any metal, either copper or lead, and you want the algae also. So your target is algae should be there, and this algae should be with lead also no problem, with copper also no problem. That was your intention, and you put copper or lead and algae. But as per this precedence, and will go first, and then or. What will happen if you search like this? It will take lead and algae first. It will give you all the results lead and algae, and then when second time copper is there or not, it doesn't matter for them because you used or. So what will happen? Most likely you may hit algae results with having lead and copper both, but only copper results with algae you may miss it. Why? The search precedence is different. Oh sir, do I need to remember all these things? This is too much you are telling. Is there any shortcut? Yes, further shortcut is there. You don't need to remember all these things. Still you will get the good results. Accurate results, proper results. How? Just remember the bracket. You just put in parentheses in your thought, copper or lead is your one thing. So put that copper or lead in one bracket. And then algae is different. Then it doesn't matter who is going first, who is going second. Because you have put it in a parenthesis. So in parenthesis, rules applied separate. In outside parenthesis, rules applied separate. And they will go all this order separately for both and then combine. So don't need to remember any precedence, just remember to put it in bracket. Is there any other way instead of bracket? Yes, you can put it in quote and quote, single quote or double quote or inverted comma, whatever you say. And the bracket can be a round bracket or a square bracket or any other bracket, but some search engines won't take. Most accepted brackets are the round brackets. Of course, you can experiment with new things when you have a time. And if you find something new or interesting, please let me know. So this will be helpful in future talks to them. So the use of parentheses is the most important thing when you search it. What is this in slide? So many words. If you are seeing in mobile, it might be tiny. Don't worry, okay? Don't try to read. These are very common words like and, also, before, after, but, if, this, that, our, your, which, when, while, would, should, seen. Why I put all these things here? These are called stop words. Any search engine or most of the search engine have a different set of stop words. Be it a Google, be it Amazon, Flipkart, any search engine or a scientific or a commercial, they do have some stop words. These are essential to have a stop words. Why? Otherwise, when people write in lengthy, you have all unnecessary results in the top, or you will get a millions of hits and it may crash or it may take more time. Of course, I'm not expert in genetic algorithm or computer science. I'm just using the vague language. Pardon me if some of you are computer scientists. So avoid getting multiple or the large set of results, avoid unnecessary result, or avoid getting delay in search engine. Every search engine puts some stop words which are very common. These stop words are from the Scopus. Same are there more or less for SciFinder, more or less same for Web of Science. So when you are searching, I told you the example, Department of Science and Technology. You think it's a 5 words, but no. It's only 3 words, Department, Science, Technology, 1 Boolean operator and 1 stop word is off. Whether you write off or whether you don't write off, you will get same results. That means the stop word. Stop word means whether you type it or don't type it, search engine will not consider. I'm not sure about Google how much stop words they have, but this is for the Scopus. When you have a very large set of keywords, instead of typing more than 5, 6 in one, usually people search with 2 or 3 or maximum 4. But if you want to search with more than 4 keywords, better to have a registered in that search engine and different searches you collect and then search. See here, researcher have obtained the final results in this red color by 11 keywords. How they did? They did 4 keywords separately and combined, 4 more keywords separately and combined, and this search 5th and 10th combined. So you will get this cross section. What happens if you put these 9 keywords or 10 keywords or 4 Boolean operators, 5 proximity operators, 3 stop words at a time? You may not get any results because you don't know the precedence, you don't know how many brackets you want to put, how many, and it's an unnecessarily waste of your time. And search engine may take a lot of time, and every search engine has some default time. Within that time, if you don't hit the result, it will tell timeout or it will tell no results. So what are the common errors? As just now I told, don't combine 9, 10 keywords at a time. Do different search, and those searches you can combine. Don't do in so much hurry. Don't do too broad or don't do too narrow. Give some scope. Try to get some results and then keep refining. And don't think that only SciFinder or Scopus or Web of Science is enough. Look around for the secondary and tertiary sources, as I told you earlier. like thesis, patents, or conference papers, or books, so on. Now, assume that you got it. Excuse me. Assume that you got more risks. How to organize? In a single computer, or you are using an office different computer, home different computer, or all of a sudden you are traveling. How to organize this large set of data? Often it happens, I know this paper, I downloaded in my computer, somewhere it is there, but I have internet, my institute is paying, I need not to pay, again download. I have downloaded 2 times and searching some days later, I am sure I downloaded this paper 2 times, but I don't know where I kept it. This happened 3 times, 4 times, 5 times. And the 6th time, your guide calls from his chamber, can you bring this paper? Let's discuss on that. And you are searching on 5th time, 6th time. You know 5 times that paper is there in your laptop or in your desktop in different place. You didn't get where it is. And you are trying 6th time downloading just before going to the guide, and internet is not there. This happens to many. So how to organize is, there is no proper way of organizing. Why I say there is no proper way of organizing? Because organization is individual specific. If I say this is the best method, this may work for me, it may not work for you. The method works for you is the best method. I will tell you a few methods. So when you download any paper, it takes few seconds or few minutes depending on the internet speed. When you have a patience for that many minutes or that many seconds, please have a bit more patience for few more seconds to rename the file appropriately the way you like. Maybe by year, maybe by author name, maybe by topic, maybe by subtopic, maybe by the concept, and after that, put that folder, that file in appropriate folder. This may take few more seconds or 1 minute extra. I am not separate like you. I am also doing the same, but I am telling those who will practice will get benefit. Everybody has a habit of downloading. It may go either by default into download folder, or by default it will go to the desktop, or by default it will go to my literatures. You have 300 my literatures, 400 my literatures. You don't get it when you are searching again. So spend little bit extra seconds or extra minute to help you to save so many minutes, so many hours, and stress-free later on. If you spend time while renaming, while putting that file in proper place, you may be thinking wasting time, but in fact you are saving time, saving frustration, saving health. So the organization like a funnel, you may have more folders, or you may have one folder to begin. It might be a broader topic wise, subtopic wise, studies you like, studies you want to read, important, most important, or for a chapter 1, for my chapter 2, for this concept, or based on discovery, based on need, based on conversation, or based on retention, or chronological order, by date, by year wise, or by theme, by methods, which method has been utilized there, or by model, by software, theory paper separate, experimental separate, modeling separate, which paper you want to cite separate, which you want to not cite but you want to read separate. It can be in review based or comment based. As I told you, there is no best method. The best method is which you can save time, which you can do it quickly. That is the method. But while reading quickly, you just highlight or note down what are in agreement with you or your concept or your thinking or your study. What are in disagreement with you? What are the novel? What are exactly like you doing papers, or what are the papers you want to do in future? You just highlight that annotated PDF or write down in a notebook and put them in a separate files. These papers are in line with my thinking. These papers are opposing. This paper will be future. So on. Of course, you are the boss. You put it the way you like, and you should find out. People have come up with the Excel file where all their papers, 300 papers, have been there in Excel with the particular journal name, particular issue, year, author name, or journal title, or even abstract. And they will link within this one. Okay, it's not external link. The internal link, all your 300 or 500 papers in your laptop linked in a single file, single Excel file, which are searchable. You recall any keyword, search in the Excel file, get 10 papers, click on that, interlinked within your laptop, within your desktop, go to that page. Of course, online database searching is there, Mendeley's, EndNote, RefWorks, so on. These are subscribed, and if your institute is subscribing, you are not paying anything, you must utilize them. Mendeley, RefWorks, EndNote, and so many other things I will tell you later on. Now, let me see the time and have some water. Oh, I'm overshooting the time, but bear with me. I'll not take more than 10 minutes now. Maximum 15 minutes. If I'm not closing in 15 minutes, you can leave out and do whatever you would like. Is it impossible to get the latest work without searching? I don't want to work. Who will work every day? What is, by the way, literature search is not for 3 year or 5 year or 10 year. It is a lifelong process, or as long as you want to in the science field or research field. You have to be updated. So do I need to search every day? Do I need to search every week? Isn't it panic? Is it possible? Is there any way I don't search anywhere, but the result should come to me? Yes. It is not impossible. It is possible. Instead of you look for papers around which you really want, while discussing this 1 hour talk, somebody could have published the paper excellent or very much relevant to my work. How I missed it? How long I can miss? Can I afford to miss it for 1 day, 1 week, 1 month, 1 year? Of course, you can't afford when you submit the funding proposal or article on the same topic to the some good journal. They will tell your literature search is not updated. So it is possible, instead of you search everywhere, search results come to you. This called alerts, this called keep me posted. Different search engine will tell different names. This can be journal based, this can be publisher based, this can be entire search engine based, this can be author based, this can be citation based, this can be issue based. What to do? Go to the journal, go to the publisher, go to the search engine of your choice, search using keywords, and there is a place to set alert. Of course, you have to register first, by the way. I forgot to tell you. All this ACS, RSC, elsewhere, all this publisher and all these search engines may not give you full text free, but creating account is absolutely free. Yes, you heard right. Creating account in public and search engines and this database is absolutely free. Setting alerts is free. Getting alerts is free. What is paid? What is subscribed? To access the full text, you need a subscription. So create an account and search through keywords or author name or a publication or a citation or a table of content. Then Look around for set alert or keep me posted is there in SciFinder or Web of Science. Alerts are there in Scopus. Even Google Scholar can give you alerts. Many search engines give you alerts. Okay, even today, even in Amazon, you can set alerts. Like this product is not available. Please tell me when it comes. So the search engines allows you. It remembers your login credentials, and when that target hits, it will keep iterative methods, and whenever that hit, it will set alerts. So as soon as any paper relevant to me, any author in my co-author list publishing literature relevant to me, or any person getting a new publication very relevant to me, or anybody citing my paper, when I set alerts, I will get automatically notified instantaneously to my inbox, and then it's my choice when to read that and when to go there, and it will be through HTML link. But please don't be greedy. If you put too many alerts, you will get too many messages and then again waste your time in deleting. Be careful what is most relevant to you, how to set alerts. If you set alerts by mistake, later on you can delete also. Alerts can be daily, instantaneously, weekly, or monthly. I usually set alerts for citations instantaneously and for new publications weekly. Or some of them are instantaneous. It depends whom I am following. For some co-authors, I put instantaneous. I'll tell you, most of the time, my collaborators or people working in my field, they know they have submitted a paper, accepted the paper, but they don't know when it come online. And as soon as it come online, I get it to my inbox and I see, let's say same day or same time, I go through that paper and the same link I sent to them, I saw your this paper today just now. It's very good. It is in line with my paper. These are my few more papers in the same line, might be interesting. This way, one, your collaborator will definitely happy and go through that. His paper is online before he noticed, you noticed, and also you gave link for few more papers, so he will definitely go through, or at least he will forward to his group members. And this is the some tricks how to be in line with this. And unfortunately, I overshoot time in the literature search. I don't have time at all for writing the papers, but I will go through in 5 minutes how to start writing. You have results ready and you want to write the paper for good impact journals. Keep things in mind when you are writing a scientific article. It should be based on original research, or it should be collection of the original research from the literature. It should be a critical analysis. It should be a in-depth interpretation of the results and the findings. It should be a comparison of results with the different approaches, different methods, different research groups, or different conditions of your own experiments. And
Professor Garidas, you can take 15 minutes.
Oh, then no problem.
You can take 15 minutes, please.
Then I need not to be hurried.
Yeah.
And feel free, those who are hungry can go ahead. I will take only juice. My wife is so nice providing me juice. So please remember the explanation of the trends observed, comparison with the literature work or other group members and your group, and the negative results also, no problem. Please don't force your results to put it in a linear curve nicely. Whatever results. Being ethical is very, very important. Wrong results, how you know it's a wrong? Not coming on the line, it doesn't mean it's wrong. Maybe that is the characteristic of the compound or that situation, definitely on that parameters like temperature, pressure, and other conditions. So you need to have a convincing arguments for that point. And you should provide enough justification, scientific justifications, and enough suggestions how to proceed further. If your work has a future scope, how it will go forward, what are the theoretical methods or computational methods are supporting your results, what could be the technology development in future, what could be the cost economics, and what could be the promising paths for further development. all this you can summarize in one paper. You may say, oh, this many things in one paper? No need to be all, but as many as possible. Sometimes all may not be applicable. Whatever applicable, and these are the way to go to the high impact or reputed journals, or this is the scientific basis how to analyze your results critically. If you remember, I told in the beginning one of the dialogue, extraordinary ideas required extraordinary results, extraordinary justifications, and extraordinary supporting documents. If you feel your ideas are extraordinary, if you feel your results are extraordinary, you definitely should have extraordinarily convincing argument based on scientific justifications. So articles are varieties. I will not go through. Size will be vary. Article can be one paragraph, or article can be 50-60 pages. And the process I will not go through. Why process is important to understand? Because to write a one paper, I need to have an idea. I need to write a proposal. I need to convince the funding agency. I need to convince the reviewers. Then I get money. I will wait for the money to come. Then I will order chemicals. I will order equipment. Then I will hire students or researchers joins my group. They do perform experiment and they will get results. Then I write that results and then I write that paper. How much time it could have taken? Definitely more than a year or 2 years. When I put this much time and effort in writing, how much time do the editorial office, editor, or a reviewer will spend? You'll be surprised to know, my friends, editorial office will just put it in a software and it will find out whether you followed the certain guidelines, word limits or not. If not, reject. They are just BSc, MSc or a BTech or MTech, or they are just a graduate or postgraduate. They are not the experts. They will only follow rules. How important is to follow rules? When you put your entire efforts for year long, 2 year long, can't you put little bit extra efforts while writing? You have to. There is no other way. And once editorial check, what do you call the editorial office check, most important office check is plagiarism check. They just put it in Turnitin or other plagiarism software. It will tell 50% matching, reject. 30% matching, reject. Of course, they will not use references. Nowadays, figures are also, people come up with the plagiarism can be avoided by sending figures or images. Convert your results into images, you will not get it. Table also they will publish like images. Plagiarism software will not detect. As we become intelligent or unethical people become intelligent, publishers also become intelligent. So they are finding out new and new methods to search in images also, all these things. So forget about. So you have to take care of the journal guidelines, word limit, plagiarism and all these things. Then associate editor will decide to reject or accept to send for review. How much time he or she may spend? Few minutes, my friend, not more than 5 to 10 minutes. Of course, vary from editor to editor. What they will see, what is the research area, what is the title, what is the graphical abstract, they glance through quickly. Did we get exactly similar literature? Because in each issue, they have some more limitations, like same theme, they don't want more papers. Same region, they don't want more papers. So they have so many criteria to fulfill, and you have to fit into that. And then they will invite reviewers. Reviewers generally get 2 weeks, 3 weeks, 4 weeks time, depending on the journal. I'm also reviewer for many journals. Any reviewer is also academician, he is also administration, he also have his own student, his own funding, his own research, his own administrative job. How much time he or she will spend to review your paper, what they will see, this we should understand. So that's how it helps when the best way to learn writing good paper is to take a paper, published paper or unpublished paper of your rivalry, whom you don't like at all, and find out all the faults. What are the ways you can reject his paper? What are the ways you can reject her paper? Find out all the methods on what basis you can reject their papers. Note down and don't repeat the same in your work. So this is the way to learn. Anyway, we'll go. You invest a lot of time in getting funds, getting results. So please invest some more time in writing, and you will get guidelines from so many papers. And when you want to go to high impact journal or reputed journals, you need to know some more tricks and things, that you need to have a collaboration, you need to have extraordinary methods, you need to have extraordinary convincing arguments, or you need to build a network for the good thing, not for the bad thing I'm talking. And you need to have a reputation in that community, and this will comes with the time. It's not overnight journey. And this also essential for your tenure or career development and peer network, of course, for promotion. And by the way, all these are secondary. What is the primary? You want to be satisfaction that you are doing your bit for the society, for the universe, that your investigations will be helpful for the mankind or the universe. If not directly, at least indirectly. This satisfaction is more than enough for other reward, award, and all these things. But of course, we all are human beings. We do need a job. We do need a promotion. We do need money. We do need awards. So no need to be a saint, but focus on both societal benefit, economical benefit for the country, and the societal benefit and the environmental ecosystem, and at the same time to self-promotion, institute promotion, and your own students' promotions. So these are the various way. Reference managers are there, journal finder. Often we find difficult where to find. So the best way to find where to publish is you can use these journal finder websites from elsewhere, Wiley, Springer, Clarivate. But I would say the best methods in the next slide. The reference managers are there, Mendeley, EndNote, Refer. If you use this, it is always easy. What happened? You wrote a paper for some journal in a specific format with citing 100 reference. All of a sudden, your guide says, no, we'll go to another publisher, another. When publisher change, the journal citation, the method change. Somebody wants DOI, somebody wants title, somebody wants volume number in bold, year in italics, so on. Somebody wants year in bracket. All this you need not to worry if you use Mendeley or EndNote or Refer, or even at least Microsoft Cite while you write. These are the tricks you should learn at the early stage. It's time consuming, but it's really helped you in the long run. So where to find the journal, I'll tell you later, okay? How to write, I will go through briefly. How to start. Take an white sheet. Let me see, I'm overshooting too much. Let's finish in 5 minutes. This is final 5 minutes, okay? Then I will take question answer. Final 5 minutes, bear with me. So take a white sheet. What is your paper is about? Put a one circle in the middle. Write down the most important message you want to give, or most important finding you feel, or extraordinary results you feel in the middle. This is hard copy, okay? No soft copy. Take one empty A4 sheet, okay, and make a circle in the middle, and you are making a Picasso sketch or a drawing. This is the extraordinary drawing of your choice. Write only one or two important message or results you want to. Please remember, language doesn't matter. You write it in Hindi, English, Gujarati, Marathi, Urdu, Tamil, Malayalam, Kannada, no problem at all. Write it in any language, because this drawing will be remaining with you. And then you start analyzing or start dividing that concept into different structures. one idea, okay, how you worked, how it supported, which method you use, what you write down, and you make a painting, okay, and you don't forget to write anything which is important for that paper. For example, some analyses are still yet to be done. I'm waiting for these results from the what you call instrument operator technician. I have to call my collaborator. I have to get these results from the my student. This student is making this graph, and all things you put it in one page. Everything in a bullet points in any language. You make a drawing. Feel free to use different color pens. Feel free to make a cartoons. Feel free to draw instrument or method or a diagram. Why? This shows how much you involved. You make a square, circle, anything, and put that on your pin board and see that painting how it looks. Scan and send in your mobile, or put your screensaver when you are writing a big proposal, when you are writing a paper for a big journal. This one image should be your dream image, and keep changing that image, and you should not miss anything writing in a bullet point in any language in one that image. If this is there, then you can go for 5 empty sheets. Now you need not to go for hard copy. This can be a soft copy in a Microsoft Word or any other browser, whatever you use. These 5, just give a title, either hard copy or soft copy. Introduction, method, results, discussion, conclusion. You don't have anything, only titles, and you have one Picasa painting. And in each one, you write only 2-3 key points, whatever you feel. Language doesn't matter, flow doesn't matter, and what you call order doesn't matter. All these things you can write down, point 1, point 2, point 3, and then each point you write in importance, goal, overview, and scope, method 1, method 2, condition 1, condition 2, result 1, result 2, goal achieved or not achieved, discussion is going in this one, what is the significance of result. So far, you have made 5 pages with any language of your choice, 5 pages without flow, without grammar. If you have 5 pages ready, you are ready to write paper, and then you elaborate them and put, while writing, you write with the order of references, results, method, discussion, introduction, conclusion, abstract, keyword, title. Then you arrange in the publication order. Any paper will start with the reference, literature search, and result combining, and it will go in this order, and title, abstract, and keyword will go at the end, because these 3 things you have to pay attention. I don't know what happened, this is hanged. Sorry, this is not going forward, I don't know. No, am I audible?
Yes, you are audible.
Yes, sir, you are audible, sir.
My system it is not going forward. So let me end the talk here. The remaining important slides where you can search and all this thing is there. Organizers will share. So let me conclude with 1 or 2 lines. One line is, search engines will operate based on what is your input. So it's essential to learn the search techniques, and it is not overnight knowledge. You have to spend the time and note down all these things, and this is the key in search engine 1. And writing is most crucial. So pay attention on your graphs, pay attention on your figures, tables, schemes, methods, structures, and the colors, and the formatting, and the font size. So good work should look good also. So people don't have time. Everybody wants to finish everything fast, whether it is an editor, whether it is a reviewer, whether it is a reader, anybody. So unfortunately, attractive titles or attractive figures or attractive formatting is also part of science. So please be in line with that. and wish you all the best for the success. Be digital. I'm extremely sorry at the end. I don't know what you are seeing my screen. It got hanged. So I will take few questions. I couldn't see anything now.
Well,
Yeah, thank
Professor
you.
Gardas, first of all,
Somebody has to read the question for me.
yes, yes. Professor Gardas, first of all, let me thank you for a very, very interesting presentation. Even though I had gone through this entire rigor of writing papers very, many times, but still I felt that there are many intricate points which you highlighted today that will be of great value to the young researchers particularly. And thank you so much for a nice presentation. And we have here some questions through the chat mode, which I can post to you. And for one of them, the most important one is they're asking how the presentation will be shared. They will be shared on our website, www.anuvidya.in. This was shared in the beginning in the presentation. It is an HBNI website for interaction with students and faculty. So we will post this complete presentation which Professor Gardas has kindly shared with us maybe by today evening or tomorrow morning. So you will be able to access the entire presentation. And the questions are many, but one of them is what is the best or reliable free plagiarism software which we can use?
I am not aware of free softwares, but MHRD, in one of the images there, free plagiarism software for the government institutes and universities under MHRD, they have provided, and the website also given in the later on slides. I'm unable to find out that name now, but it is there in the one of the slides at the end. Okay, and that is through institute. So MHRD could have gave access to maybe one or two key people in the institute, but you can talk to your institute people, you will get it. That is one thing. Online free, I am not.
Okay. Yeah, I do. I also agree with you. The MHRD
the name is I missed to tell that where to publish. I told that I will tell you later, but the slides got wrong. So the best way to find where to publish is 2-3 things. One, see top 20 people in your field in the country and abroad where they are publishing. If top 20 people publishing very high level journals and it's difficult for you, then you can go to the next 20 people in the country and abroad. It's up to you whom you think these people are good in my field. So just see their papers where they are publishing. That is one thing. Second, you see whether your work is more appropriate to there or not. Just search that journal and see the journal keywords. If the journal keywords are matching with your own keywords, that is good. So these are the few methods where your collaborators, where your peers are publishing, and where the readers will be more to your papers. So instead of going for impact factor or other techniques, it's better. And one more thing, you see, who is the editor and who are in the editorial board. At least a few people in the editor and editorial board should be internationally reputed. Okay, then only you go for that journal. It doesn't matter what is impact factor. Yeah, please go ahead, sir. Next question. Hello?
One very interesting question is when you search all these journals, literature, you find information about something having been done. Now,
yes,
what the person wants to know is, can absence also be found out? That is, nobody has done this work. Is there any way to check? I don't know. It's a very interesting. Is there any way to prove the absence of information?
It is difficult to find out the absence, but what you do when you combine 2-3 keywords and you are always getting the results, absence of one keyword, that would be one of the way. So for example, A, B and C, you combine, actually you are looking for C only, whether C has done or not. you do with A or C, you do with A or B, and then when you see C results are not at all coming, then that's a way of finding out that nobody has done the work in C. But it's difficult. It will come with the experience that nobody has done.
Yes. One person has asked, you explained the importance of forward searching.
Yeah.
But the person wants to know how to do forward searching.
So forward searching has to be done. You search, see the author name, or to be precise, go to that paper exactly. Directly going is through DOI. Go through that paper, and most of the search engine or most of the publisher will tell you who cited that paper. You can do in Scopus, you can do in SciFinder, and you can do if it is a ACS journal in ACS, RSC. You have to go to that particular paper of your choice and go down. It will give you the list who cited.
Okay. The one person has asked whether you recommend signing up on platforms like ResearchGate, Academia, etc. Will that be useful for making your research visible?
Of course, it is useful, but you have to see their rules. ResearchGate sometimes is not allowing submitting your full text, because when you publish, you sign a copyright, or on your behalf, your corresponding author will sign the copyright. So you should not violate the copyright norms, and then you can share. One way of sharing your papers without worrying about this copyright is the PDF file or the Word file, which is after all your correction ready to accept it, or the accepted version, either in PDF form or this you can share. This one what do you call version of this one, and definitely when you share this file, you can give the link of original article which is published.
Well, there is only one more question I would like to take from the list given here. They have mentioned about the ethics of allowing paywall bypassing websites like Library Genesis. You are able to access some literature for which you really do not have a right. So
Yeah.
What is your comment on that?
It's better to not comment. If you ask me comment, it is unethical.
Correct.
Because
Yes. So
I will extend little bit one line. Any publisher, they have to run the show. And to run the show, they have to pay so many people salary and so many software, so many search engine. So definitely it involves a lot of money. So they need to generate some money. Of course, science is not a business. I'm not debating on that. So that's why we generally go for a society journals like ACS, RSC, compared to elsewhere and other. Why we choose society journal? Because these people's profit also will be used for the growth of science.
that's right. Maybe last question. Person has asked, if I reproduce the data from my own published papers in my thesis, is it considered a plagiarism or self-plagiarism, and is it incorrect?
Self-plagiarism is for new journal articles, book chapter, books and patents. But for thesis, if it is you are the first author, or it is part of your thesis and this will not be published in any other thesis, many universities have the guidelines that up to 30%, up to 40%, up to 50% allowed if it is from your own paper. It depends. You just check with your university's guidelines. It is not comes under self-plagiarism, because this is a part of thesis work and work only you publish. So it's not comes under self-plagiarism. But from the same paper, let's say some methods you cannot, let's say experimental methods, you can't change so often. Still, you can't write a dicta in your other paper. There it calls self-plagiarism. And you have to write different.
Yes, I want to add that the UGC itself has given very clear guidelines about what can be exempted from plagiarism.
Yeah.
And I think the publisher, the people who want to write the papers must refer to them very carefully.
Yeah.
I think we will come to the end of this because we are running out of time.
Yeah.
And I only want to add one observation to your otherwise very, very interesting, extremely informative lecture. I am very glad that at least on a few occasions, you pointed to the importance of books, because I am an old timer and I feel somehow people have the tendency of first going to the computer, searching only through the Google, and they don't feel going to libraries that equally important. But books do serve as extremely important source of information, which you may not find in many places in many journals. And
Because
I'm glad that you
author has a liberty to write in detail in the book only. In the manuscript, he can't write in detail.
That's right. So, well, we'll come to the end of today's program. We hope there will be another occasion where you can spend more time on writing papers and the publication part later. And today you spent more exhaustively on literature search, which was equally important. So on behalf of HBNI and all the participants in this meeting, it's my pleasure to thank you for your time and your efforts in putting this, and we will share your presentation online. Thank you very much.